What if the tool you trust to read your documents gives you a different answer every single time you use it? I pasted the same PDF into ChatGPT 10 times, asked the exact same question each time, and I did not get the same answer twice. This video shows you exactly what happened and why it matters. Before we get into the results, I want to be clear about what this test was and was not. This was not about asking vague questions where multiple answers are reasonable. The PDF was a structured report with specific numbers, named conclusions, and a clear summary section. The prompt was identical each time. Word for word. No changes. The setup was straightforward. I used the same ChatGPT session type each run, cleared the context between runs to prevent memory bleed, and asked the model to summarize the three main findings of the document. Simple, specific, repeatable. Exactly the kind of task millions of people use ChatGPT for every day. Here is where it gets interesting. Across 10 runs, the model identified different findings as the top 3 in 6 of them. The order of importance shifted. In 2 runs, a finding that ranked first in earlier responses did not appear at all. And in 2 separate runs, the model drew opposite directional conclusions from the same data in the report. To be fair, most of the 10 responses were broadly similar. If you squinted, you might say they told the same story. But details matter. If you are summarizing a legal contract, a medical study, or a financial report, small differences in emphasis and phrasing are not small problems. They are the whole problem. So why does this happen? The first reason is something built into how large language models generate text. It is called temperature. Temperature is a setting that controls how much randomness is injected into the model's word selection process. A temperature of 0 means the model always picks the single most probable next word. A higher temperature means the model samples from a range of probable options, introducing variation every time. ChatGPT does not run at temperature 0 by default. It runs at a setting designed to make responses feel natural and varied rather than robotic and repetitive. That is a deliberate product decision. It makes the tool feel more conversational, but it also means the exact same input will not reliably produce the exact same output. The second reason is about how the model handles long documents. Every large language model has a context window, which is the maximum amount of text it can hold and process at one time. When a document is long, different parts of it compete for attention inside that window. Research shows that models do not weight all positions in the context window equally. Text at the very beginning and the very end tends to receive more attention than content in the middle. This means that if the key finding you care about happens to sit in the middle of a long PDF, there is a real chance the model gives it less weight than findings buried at the end. And because the sampling process introduces variation, where exactly the model's attention lands can shift between runs, even with the identical document loaded each time. The third reason is subtler. Even though the prompt was word for word identical in each run, the model does not store a fixed interpretation of those words. It rereads and reweighs the prompt fresh every single time, in context with the document. That rereading process is itself subject to the same probabilistic sampling. So the way the question is understood can drift at a microscopic level, even when no word has changed. Put those 3 factors together and you have a system that is genuinely non-deterministic by design. That is not a bug. It is a feature that serves a lot of use cases well. But it becomes a serious issue when you are using the tool as a trusted reader of factual documents where consistency and accuracy are not optional. Let me show you the specific moment in the test results where this hit hardest. In runs 3 and 7, the model summarized the report's conclusion about a particular trend. In run 3 it described the trend as increasing. In run 7, using the exact same document and the exact same prompt, it described the trend as declining. Same source. Opposite conclusion. Both responses were written with full confidence. That is the part of this test that should make you pause. The model does not flag its own uncertainty in these moments. It does not say it found conflicting signals in the document. It states its chosen interpretation as though it is the only reasonable reading of the text. That false confidence is more dangerous than the inconsistency itself. So what should you actually do with this information? The first practical fix is to use structured prompts that force the model to quote directly from the document before it interprets. Instead of asking for a summary of findings, ask the model to first pull the 3 sentences that state each finding verbatim, and then comment on each one separately. This reduces the drift that comes from open-ended interpretation. The second fix is to run multiple passes intentionally and compare them rather than trusting a single output. If you are working with something important, run the same prompt 3 times, then look for the points where the responses agree. Where they disagree, that is your signal to go back to the original document and read it yourself. Use the AI as a first pass, not a final authority. The third fix applies if you are using the API or a tool built on the API rather than the consumer chat interface. You can set the temperature parameter directly. For tasks that require consistent factual extraction, setting temperature to 0 or close to 0 will dramatically reduce variation. You will lose some of the fluency and creativity in the output, but for document analysis tasks that trade-off is worth it. There is a broader lesson here that goes beyond this one test. AI tools are being sold into workflows that were built on the assumption that reliable inputs produce reliable outputs. That assumption does not hold for most consumer-facing large language models. Not because they are bad tools, but because they were not built for determinism. They were built for generative fluency. The people most at risk from this gap are the ones who trust the output without understanding how it was generated. That includes students using AI to study, professionals using it to review documents, and teams using it to extract data from reports. All of those workflows assume a level of consistency that the technology does not currently guarantee. This does not mean you should stop using ChatGPT for documents. It means you should use it with a clear picture of where the uncertainty lives. The test in this video is something you can replicate yourself in about 20 minutes. Take a document you already know well, run the same prompt 5 times, and see how much the output shifts. The results will change how you use the tool. If this video gave you something useful, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who are trying to understand AI tools rather than just being impressed by them. Subscribe if you want to see more tests like this one. The next video goes even further and tests whether ChatGPT gives the same answer when the same question is asked across different sessions on the same account. The results are not what you would expect.